Welcome to Uncompromised, the podcast where we talk about regenerative agriculture, the economics of farming, and how we can uncompromise the industry and the food that we eat. Today we're going to get into what happened on the farm this past week. And Kevin and I visited a farm yesterday where we toured a nearby regenerative farm that does both beef and dairy. So we're going to get into that and discuss what we learned. But before we do, consider liking this video and subscribing to this channel. We're on a mission to restore the soil on our Ohio Christmas tree farm by transitioning to fully regenerative farming practices. We're also bringing chestnuts back to Ohio, and we're doing a whole lot. I don't know if any of this is possible, but if you would like to stick around and find out, then hit subscribe and learn with us. And with that, I'm gonna introduce myself. I'm Kyle, and this is Kevin. He's a business partner on the farm. And this is my dad, Scott, and he is the owner of the farm. And this remote it stopped working at some point. But we're on, what is this, episode 7 or 8? So
7 feels right.
Thankfully, I have some of it. It's kind of memorized. But we always start off with a segment called This Past Week. And in the previous episode, we talked about the deconing process, and you had just started that. So I'm curious now, how far did you get in the deconing process?
Yeah, so last week I had done 2 of our 6 fields, and then this week I was able to get 2 more done, and before the rains came and slowed things down a little bit. But yeah, I've got 2 more fields done, and this appears to be a kind of a slower season or lesser cones.
Yeah.
For some reason
Lighter.
this season, a little lighter than what we've seen in the most recent past. So I'm really happy about that. And then also we cut down many of our large trees, and I mean, they were somewhere as big as 17 feet. We cut them down, and that's where a lot of the cones were. And then we also cut down all of our Korean fir that we couldn't sell. They were the misshapen ones and those kinds of things, and they were the ones that were really bad for coning. So you add all that together, it's been manageable for one person to do it up to this point. I will need some help probably in 6.
Yeah. Well, thank goodness that it's only been a one-man job, really.
Yeah. And I expect in field 5, which is 5 and 6 are our last fields to do, 3 out of the 4 sections I'll need to get into. One of the sections is all concolor fir, and they don't have a problem. And then one of the sections in field 6. So we're close. But I was looking at the taller trees that we have in field 6, and we're going to need the big ladder. Yep. So that was the coning thing. And then on the farm, in terms of mowing, thank goodness we got some rain. The consequence of rain is heavy mowing. So we were able to get through at the very beginning of this week. We got through the rest of the farm. We had gotten about half of it when we had our podcast last week. We got the other half, and then had to start right back into the section that where we generally start. So heavy mowing. Then I did all of the service roads and the fence line, and so that takes almost a full day.
What else? How about you, Kevin?
Oh, I spent my week in my car pretty much. You sure did.
Running errands?
Running errands. Had an issue. So where we get our feed, they had an issue with their grinder. One of the grinding wheels or something broke on it, and they went to test their starter chick feed, and it wasn't up to the standard. So they lost about 2 days, or they were behind about 2 days on what they had in stock. So went up to get feed, found out they didn't have it, so I had to go back the next day.
So the feed that you get, what kind of feed? Where do you go, and why do you go there?
So we go to Kraut Creek, which is located up in Greenville, Ohio. We go there because, one, it's non-GMO, but it is non-GMO. It is ground fresh weekly, so there is as much nutrition as we can get from the feed without grinding it ourselves, basically.
Right.
Which would be great to get into.
Yeah.
But we're not there, and so the next best thing is find a local supplier that has as close to what you want as you can get, and use that. So
And part of their name is regenerative.
Yes.
So I mean so we try to frequent, number one, provide them our business, but number two, that's exactly the kind of stuff that we're looking for to make sure that we can provide the
Yeah.
highest quality birds that we possibly can.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Which-
okay.
I mean, the other side effect that when you get into that kind of feed, it's not cheap,
Right.
and
And it's what, 25 miles or so from here?
it's about an hour round trip.
Yeah. So it's not like it's around the corner.
Right.
You've got a bit of a drive to get to that place.
Yeah, and then getting set up to process our meat birds tomorrow has been, unfortunately, it was put on the back burner most days, and got most of it knocked out between last night and this morning.
What does that entail?
That entails me getting my woodworking shop cleaned up and tables rearranged, and
Well, and the reason for that is because we're moving what we had done outside inside.
Yeah.
So that, we don't have the sun, kind of baking down on the process as we're going through that process. Still do the, killing the birds, what we'll do that outside. And then once that's done, and I think defeather and scalding and defeather, it would be probably outside too. Is that what you're thinking?
yeah, but it'll be out in front of the garage instead of behind the garage.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, one of the issues with that is absolutely no airflow behind the garage.
Right.
It is a really good windbreak. Yeah.
Okay. And all the evisceration will all take place inside where it's shaded, or I mean, it's enclosed, of course.
Yeah.
But that allows us to have a little bit better control
Right.
over temperature.
Yeah. So then I'll just have to deal with the wet garage floor and getting that cleaned up tomorrow.
Right.
But well worth it.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't make too much of a mess in there. If you got the defeather outside,
Yeah.
we shouldn't make too much of a mess. So
And for context, we're planning for, we're processing 6 meat birds, which is just a test batch, and it's just going to be for us. So we're not actually selling that batch, and we're getting practice in before we actually do start selling them to customers.
How did you come with I'm calling it the form, but the information that is needed to go on the website
Yeah.
to order meat birds?
So I sent Kevin a link to this, but I was looking at, there's a company called Force of Nature, which is a regenerative cattle farm out in Texas, and they have a very prominent online presence. And on their website, I thought it was a couple things were interesting. So they do direct to consumer, and you can buy any of their regenerative meats. They have all kinds of beef, bison, elk, and then they have a chicken section. And in their chicken section, they have only 5 products. So they have, you can buy packets of chicken breasts, you can buy packets of thighs, you can buy a whole bird chicken, which is what we're doing right now to start out. And then you can buy ground chicken, a package of ground chicken, and then a package of ground chicken that's an ancestral blend, which is ground chicken with 15% of it is organ meat. So they grind an organ meat into that. I like that because they're only selling 5 products, and from a process, from like our perspective, if we have a whole bird, we can have a set amount of whole birds to sell, and then later on at some point, if we want to start breaking this down and selling chicken parts like breasts and thighs, we can do that. We can have a set amount where we chop off the breasts and the thighs and then sell those, and then all the leftover meat, if we get a meat grinder, I like the idea of just being able to just take the leftovers and then grind that up and sell that as ground chicken.
Right.
And so from an efficiency standpoint, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I like the simplicity of it. I do think, we're several years away from even doing that, but I'm just thinking about that. I thought that was worth sharing at least. But also when it comes to the form, you can buy the whole birds online. I was just looking at their website. I really like what they're doing. So I might try to pull certain elements from their website and how they market their chickens when I eventually build that. But the form, I haven't built the form yet, but it's something I'll probably do this next week. So maybe by the next podcast, I'll have more information on that, but it should be pretty simple. I just need to build a web page to explain it, and then the form will be embedded into the web page, and they can just fill it, and whenever they hit submit, that takes it to a Google Docs spreadsheet, like an Excel spreadsheet. We had a couple, I was talking to Kevin on the car ride yesterday, and I do have a couple questions. You answered most of them in that email, which was really helpful. Are we accepting, like the question is, are we accepting payment up front, or are we gonna do just a sign up and then they pay when they receive it, or a deposit? Like, how do we wanna go about doing that?
Well, again, we're emulating a lot of what Joel Salatin has done. And I like the idea of payment up front because that guarantees that we're going to go through the process of ordering the birds, picking up the birds, feeding the birds, processing the birds. We need to have some guarantee that on the other end of this, there is that market. So by purchasing the bird, that obligates them. And by purchasing on the, before the bird is ready to go, that obligates them. It obligates us too, which is if you want to look at the risk and so forth. But that gives us a guarantee, as opposed to our Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Just using that as an example where we don't do that. And there is a significant percentage of folks who don't come, so I don't want that kind of situation. For trees, it's a little bit different. When we're doing small numbers of birds, as we start this process, my recommendation to us would be that we would charge for it when they order.
Yeah, we mentioned the Salatin thing, but we couldn't remember if he had payment up front or not. So you do remember that part of it? He had payment up front?
I won't say that I remember that. I think that.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense.
We can look at, exactly. It makes sense. I'm pretty sure that's what he did. I know that if that wasn't what he did, I know that would have flagged me.
Yeah.
Where I was like, wait a minute, that didn't seem quite right. I think that's really risky. And it didn't. So that makes me feel like
I was leaning towards that angle anyway.
So,
but we've got the book. And we did last week. We weren't sure if we actually had the book. We do have the book. So we could look it up. We could look it up and see.
So the other thing that we kind of talked about was once the form goes live.
Oh yeah, that was the other part.
Yeah, once the form goes live, how long are we going to leave it live before we cap it?
Or are we capping it? Is that the limit? Like how many birds are we going for? Because if we do too many, I mean, I know like when we practiced a couple years ago,
Well, I think
we
it
only
has to be a
had
cap on both ends.
Yeah, but so when we processed them a couple years ago, we did, I think, like 17, maybe 20, and that was a full like 10 to 12 hour day of processing those chickens. So I'm just saying, like, if we need to factor that into whatever our cap is.
Yeah, and I know many people watching are going to laugh at that a little bit.
Yeah.
But remember, when we did that, we had never done it before.
Well, we'd never done it. We had a backyard homemade scolder. We had a defeatherer that was on a power drill. We had the wrong bird species.
Well, of
Our
course.
breed.
I mean,
Like,
so there were reasons why it took that
multiple
long.
factors.
And so we will quickly. I mean, the learning curve will quickly lean in our favor. But I certainly, I mean, I think we need to consider how many birds can we handle at one time. Feeding them and all that kind of good stuff. So I wouldn't say any more than 25. So you got to cap it at that point.
Right.
But then if it's taking us a very long time, I think we open it up for a period of time, and then we got to close it so that we can get the birds and get them in.
Yeah.
So should we do a week, leave it up for a week, and then the cap at 25?
You're right.
At least for the first round.
I think so. I think
Yeah.
that would be a good thing.
Yeah.
Advertise well in advance. So I mean as best we can so that people know. But yeah, I would block that for a week so that we know once that week is up, we know what the numbers are, and we can go ahead and order them and get that process going.
Right.
Yeah. And then we can beat our timing, because I think part of what we want to do is we want to say to our potential customers, what's the pickup date?
Right.
So all of that information is readily available. We can back all that in. And now if we say that we're going to give them a week for order, then I think we now have everything that we need to go ahead and get this thing.
Right.
Once it goes live, we can predict what that date is and then say that up front.
All right, that sounds good. I'll get to work on that.
Yeah, I think that'd be helpful. Then we had a wonderful Saturday. So with the Coffee Hut, Coffee and Chestnut Hut, we were at Bushel on a Peck, which is a business not just down the road from us. And they asked us to come out for their spring festival. And we came out on Friday, and we had talked a little bit about that, but on Saturday it was a really good day. So that worked out well for us.
Real quick, if you're a coffee drinker and you're looking for a solid brand that supports regenerative farmers, check out 7 Weeks Coffee. It's what we use in our Coffee and Chestnut Hut because they're faith-based, they have a great mission, and their Dominican blend is sourced from regenerative farms. They do not sponsor us, but because we use them in our Coffee Hut, we have an affiliate link that we can share with you guys. So if you use our discount code ADVENT, you'll get 10% off of your order. You can also use the link that's in the description below. It's a great way to support our channel and our farm. You get a discount on great coffee and we get a kickback, so it's a win-win. So what's this nitrogen issue that you guys are experiencing?
We have a nitrogen leak somewhere in our nitro cold brew system, and we've tried, it's been an issue since we've had the Coffee Hut open, and it's progressively gotten worse.
Since we've had it open this year.
This year.
Yeah.
So last year our tank lasted 2.5 to 3 months.
Oh yeah, absolutely. If not even a little bit longer. But what we did over the winter was, of course, we winterize the Coffee Hut and bring everything inside. Well, we took that apart and brought it inside. When I say take it apart, we just disconnected the tank and brought everything inside. I mean, didn't take all the piece parts off. But when we put it all back together again this year, we've been going through the nitrogen gas, pretty quickly. Yeah. And recently, like the first couple of weeks, we were fine, right. but then it ran out. But that was because it was left open, and sometimes it's hard to remember to close those things. We had left the gas on, but even if you leave the gas on, you shouldn't lose the gas. Well, we did. Yeah. So we knew that there was potentially a problem there. If you ever deal with nitrogen gas and all that kind of good stuff, and it's hard to detect, if it's a slow leak in particular, it's hard to detect. We've tried soapy water, spraying on everything. You took the regulator in, our gas company that we get it from, they checked out the regulator, and they said that was good. And then we decided to just put Teflon tape on all of the connectors. We did that, tightened everything up, soaked it all up again, and it's all back together. So we're hoping. Yeah. But this is our 5th tank. So we've gone through some nitrogen, unfortunately. Yeah.
Was it about $15 a tank?
Yeah.
$15 a tank, yeah.
And there's no guarantee. I mean, we don't know that we have it fixed. We'll find out in the morning if it's leaking.
Yeah.
I turned the pressure on, brought it up to 30 PSI, turned the tank off, and then we'll see if it holds.
So we should be able to go check here in a few after the podcast.
Yeah, because
if it's leaked down.
Yeah. I did it about 4:30. I'd finished about 4:30. Yeah. So it'll be 3 hours or so when we do that.
It's not a very big leak, but it's enough to bleed a tank down pretty quick.
Yeah, because it's only a 20-pound tank. Yeah. So it's not a lot of gas.
All right. So what else? Anything else that went on this past week? I was
good egg sales.
Go ahead.
Good egg sales, but we tried out a new coffee location.
Oh yeah, Brookville. Good point. Yeah, in Brookville.
One of the factors that seems to be playing an effect on how good a day we have is how close we are to a salon of some sort.
Yeah. So we went to in Brookville. They've got an IGA, and then my eye doctor, iDocs is what they're called. They're right next door to that, and so they gave us permission to be able to set up in their parking lot. But it is frequented. The customers going to the IGA is there. Unbeknownst to me, I don't know if you knew it, but there happens to be a salon.
Had no idea.
Right next door to the iDocs, which neither of us knew was there. And so they provided a lot of business. And
yes, they did.
And the iDoc folks did too. And I think we had a couple of folks that might have come in, So we just got to build up the fact that we're there. Yeah. But I think that's a good thing. And then we also had the director of the library for West Milton stop by today. And she wanted to know if we can come and be a part of that place and set up there. And she, in particular, she wanted us to come on Tuesday because during the morning hours, that's when they have a mommy read
Yeah,
the
thing
thing.
a mommy and me read thing.
Yeah. So she's wanting to know if we could come and support that.
Hmm.
On Tuesdays, their busiest day for that kind of thing in the morning. We talked about the fact that we just, established ourselves in Brookville, but I did mention to her, can we do once a month? And she was fine with that.
Hmm.
So that might be a great opportunity. I don't know where the library is. Is that on Main Street?
It's a few buildings down from the
Police department.
Bulldog Diner.
Oh,
Oh, well, yeah, the
yeah,
police
'cause
department
police
too.
department is right next to Bulldog,
Yeah,
and then I think it's just a couple of
there's like
block or two down.
4 houses down is the library.
Okay, all right, yeah. So it's right there on that Main Street, what they call Main Street, in West Milton. What do you think, Kyle? Is that seem reasonable to you?
I have to look at, I'm pulling up the calendar right now. I don't know what, okay, so you're in Brookville on Tuesday. Is that every Tuesday? Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, once a month, I think that's fine.
Yeah, because that's what we're doing with Mantra. We were there on Thursday. Our first Thursday of the month, we go to a salon in Englewood called Mantra.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great way of getting additional exposure to kind of the target audience that we're looking for, young moms and so forth. It's an opportunity to meet them. So I think that it could be beneficial
Yeah.
for us.
Yeah. I've noticed an uptick in repeat customers, which is always reassuring.
Yeah. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
So I had an interesting thought going back to the deconing thing. I know last week as I was editing that podcast, you were talking about the Christmas trees and how they produce cones when they're stressed, and that happens either from the lack of water or too much water, or like temperature changes or fire, etc. And you said that the Canaan firs normally start producing cones when they're more mature, usually around 20 to 30 years old. And so we have a number of Canaan firs that cone. You said you found one that you mentioned it was about 3 years old and it was already producing cone.
Right.
And we also have a number of them that are probably sub 8 years old that produce cones. It's pretty common.
Right.
So a long time ago, this was a few years ago, I was reading a book. I think it was called The Mother Tree or something like that. And in that book, it was talking about how trees in forests will exchange information with each other through their root systems, and through the root systems and also the mycorrhizal fungi networks that are underground. They can actually send signals to other trees around them through those networks. And sometimes they do this to exchange nutrients with each other, which that in and of itself is kind of amazing. But they also send stress signals to other trees that are around them. So if there's, they might send a signal to another if they sense danger, so that the other tree might delay their bud break in order to conserve their energy during the springtime or something like that. This is just an example. But all that together it made me think about how we have an entire plantation of Christmas trees where to them the trees are getting cut down, essentially dying at random all around them. So now I wonder if these Canaan firs are able to send signals to the other trees around them because they're getting stressed and they sense and they have these danger signals. So their neighbor essentially just died because a customer came in that thought it was a really nice Christmas tree, so they cut it down. And so it just makes me wonder if many of our Canaan firs produce cones at such an early age because of networking systems like that are happening underground. I mean, who knows? It could be any of those other stress factors that happen naturally, but I just thought I was putting the two together and I thought that was kind of an interesting concept.
That's interesting. Now, I am aware of the studies that have looked at that. I mean, I don't know it in great detail, but I am aware of what you just described. And the mycorrhizal fungi and other fungi that are down there create some incredible networks that we can't even fathom in terms of the magnitude of the networks that are going on down there. and you're talking about sharing information. Of course, I don't think trees necessarily share information, but they are sending signals
Right.
of some sort. And so is it out of the realm of possibility that another stressor for them is the fact that, hey, my buddy next door here just got chopped down? I think that's reasonable. I don't know what the science behind that is, or how others would view that, but I have no reason to think that that kind of signaling through chemistry or electrical charges or whatever the mechanism may be, I have no reason to doubt that that exists.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense just from I don't know, just as a layperson who knows nothing about it, but it just kind of makes sense if those networks really do exist. I mean, why wouldn't they on a Christmas tree plantation? Maybe they would know that there's a lot of the trees around them are dying at a younger age than what they're normally used to.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. It was just just kind of a cool thought.
If anybody knows anything about that, leave a comment. Help us get smarter in that area.
I also, I was earlier this week, I was labeling. I have a big box I just delivered of egg carton labels that I finished, and I was one box of 4, so I'm still working on the other ones, but I figured at least one box will keep you supplied for a while.
Oh, if it doesn't, we've got a really good problem. Yeah.
So, Kevin, you and I went on a farm tour yesterday. We went to Yorkshire, Ohio, and which is pretty close to us. We visited a regenerative farm. So the operation is split into 2 operations. One side of it is S&D Smith Dairy, which is a dairy farm, fully regenerative. That's also our supplier of milk for the Coffee Hut. That's how we got involved in them. Also, so a separate entity, but also they're kind of like they're 2 families, but it's kind of weird how they have it set up. But right next to that is Eat Food for Life, which is another, that's kind of their beef side of the operation. And so we met with them yesterday. We did a farm video tour, which I'm going to edit and put on the channel as well. So that'll be coming at some point, but I figured we can talk about it and share our thoughts and what we learned.
What was your biggest takeaway?
I had a lot of big takeaways. I have some notes here that I'll probably go through them, but I think the first thing that I learned is that they're really interested in going back to how things used to be, like old farm techniques and no chemicals. We briefly talked about some of his old machinery, and they're just old but well-built machines that still run.
So yeah,
which is this, the dairy?
Both. Both.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So S&D specifically is working on essentially breeding back in all the traits that we as a society have bred out of cattle, which is just an interesting concept and great.
They're doing that for their Holsteins, is that what you were saying?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're trying to so essentially making it so it's not just a milk cow, but it could also be used as a milk cow. It could be used to haul your wagon around if you needed, just an all-around hardy cow.
Yeah, it's called a tribrid, I think is what he referred to it as. And it's a cow so it's basically a meat, milk, and transportation. So it's one cow that can do all 3 of those things. And he said they're about 2,200 pounds. They produce 4 gallons of milk per milking. But essentially it was the way going back to how things used to be before we bred all those traits out of them and specialized the cow breeds for certain things, which I thought was really interesting. I mean, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah. Wow. So now I think Laramie was telling me that he was going to share that with you all.
Yeah.
And so I guess let's maybe, you had mentioned S&D Dairy.
Yeah, let's start with the Eat Food for Life first.
Okay. So the owner is Dan?
Yeah, Dan is who we met with.
Yeah.
The farm established in 1997, and it started with Dan's grandparents. But I thought another thing that was interesting is the whole reason he got started into farming is because of health problems that he ran into, and so that led him to like nutrition and trying to get healthy. And in that experiment, he was vegan for a little bit, but that just caused a plethora of other problems. So that really caused him to look into nutrition and forced him to want to go back to the basics of, the basics when it comes to milk, cheese, butter, meat, and stuff like that. So that's kind of a short version of how they got started. And they did start with eggs. That was their first product, I guess, that they started with, and they have been direct to consumer the whole time.
Okay. And they're still doing eggs now, or have they moved away from that?
Yeah, they have so
300.
300 laying hens.
Yeah.
Okay. And are they out on pasture too?
No.
No, that was one thing.
That was
So they are not on pasture, which I thought was odd. They have a chicken coop with a large chicken run, and they're all confined in that.
Okay. Yeah.
It was pretty cool though. They had a nice row of nesting boxes, and that was cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about their feed? What are they feeding them?
They grow,
They make their own feed, yeah.
make their own feed.
Oh.
Yep. So they have 3 different silos. So they have 5 fields that they grow row crop in. Non-GMO, no chemicals, everything.
Okay.
And then they rotate those 5 fields between a different crop each year.
Okay.
And then they put their, their what was it? Barley, wheat, corn. I forget the other 2. But they put that in their silos, and then they'll bring their grinder up and put their ratios in the grinder and make it right there in sight. And then they have silo with an auger that feeds straight into the chicken coop. And
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What a process.
it is a nice setup.
They use golden comets instead of
Right.
Rhode Island Reds, which they look identical. I mean, at least from what I could tell.
Very
Oh,
similar.
really? Yeah.
Very, very
They're
similar.
called golden comets.
Yes, yeah.
Are their eggs what? Brown eggs, or are they white?
These are
I don't know. I didn't see.
eggs.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, he said that, but I think the laying, like the number of eggs that they're supposed to lay every year is
Roughly the same.
Okay. Okay.
So
Rhode Island Reds are about 300 a year,
right.
between the ages of start laying to about 3 years. Correct.
I thought it was cool. I didn't realize that they did pigs. And do you remember what it was? Black?
Yeah, before we jump to pigs, I should mention, so they're 140 acres, sorry, and they are officially certified organic.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
So they went through that whole process of getting certified.
Which is not an easy thing to do,
Or cheap.
or cheap. Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So that's impressive that they were able to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they are also part of the Raw Milk Institute, which I don't know if you read, but I read a book called,
Yeah. I read that book.
yeah, it was a book about raw milk. I forget the name of it, but at the end of it, they had a whole thing on the Raw Milk Institute.
Yep.
And he was explaining that too, which I don't know much about, but it was pretty interesting too. So they have calves and steers on the Eat Food for Life side of things. And they have 20 of each. So they have, 20 head of cattle and then 20 head of calves. Some are belted Galloways, some are Angus. And they have, was it one Galloway bull?
1 Galloway bull, yep.
Yeah. And they do some breeding, but he also buys some of the calves he said he buys them at about 400 pounds and then grows them to 1,100 pounds.
Okay.
Yep.
So he does a little bit of both, I guess.
They don't do much breeding. From what it sounds like during our conversation, they do not do a whole lot of breeding on farm.
Mhm.
Okay.
Or maybe they're moving away from it or something.
Yeah.
Well, because you were saying that they did artificial insemination.
Well, S&D.
Yeah, that's on
does
S&D
Oh, that's
side.
on the- oh, that's on
S&D
the
side.
They really do separate the two operations.
Yeah.
2 completely different. They share the land, but then nothing else.
Yeah. So the 20 steers and 20 calves, right? So is it so it's not a cow calf operation. The cap is at least 400 pounds. So they're sustainable on their own. Do they intermix them? Okay.
Not from what we saw.
Yeah.
They were separated. They were on 2 different, completely different fields.
So there's a lane, and then they have 2 different pastures.
Yeah.
One is 12 acres, one is 15. and then their paddock size is about 2 acres, and then they rotate them weekly.
Okay, I was just going to ask you, do they do
So-
rotational grazing?
Yeah, so they're I asked them a whole bunch of questions on the rotational grazing. They, they do it once a week is when they rotate their paddocks. They have, so their pastures, he said, regenerates 40 days, and which is 6 weeks. So every 6 weeks they regenerate, and then each paddock is about 2 acres. What does that sound? Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, so what that tells me is of the 12 acres that they have a certain amount on, and they're rotating once a week, and they're doing, and they need to have, what did you say, 6 weeks?
Mhm.
Yeah, so that makes sense. So what would happen is every week they're moving from 2 acre spot to another 2 acre to another 2 acre. By the 6th week, they're coming back to that first one. And so that's giving them the 40 days that they feel that they need for that paddock to regenerate the greens. So the grasses and the legumes and the forbs and the brassicas, they need time after they've been clipped by the cattle to regenerate themselves. And so that's what their time period is about 40 days. I would have loved to have talked with him about how he measures that.
Yeah.
Did he talk about that at all?
We didn't get super deep into the weeds. I figure, because I want to do multiple trips back out there. And I think this was a good introduction visit, a good surface level, almost assembly, like before we get into the weeds of everything.
Yeah. Did he talk about sourcing? Where do they get their calves from?
He did not give us a name, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
So I know in my research, the belted Galloway, very high quality meat
Yeah.
cattle. And likewise, what we have considered as Jerseys, are also very high. And of course, Jerseys, most people think of them as dairy.
Yeah.
But the steers, they're much smaller, so you don't get as much bang for your buck, so to speak. But also very high quality, especially the fat is yellow, more yellow than you typically, most of the time we're looking at fat being white.
Right.
Well, the fat is yellow for the Jerseys because of the beta carotene that is more pronounced. It's more evident in their fat. And so that's why it's yellow.
Are the Jerseys the one you were thinking about targeting?
Yeah. Yeah. And the only reason I'm thinking about targeting those right now is, number one, they're smaller. And none of us are used to cattle. So, we gotta figure that piece out. And with Trudy being here, I don't want to have anything huge while we're still trying to go through that process for her. Number two, though, it's high quality meat.
Yeah.
And I've seen that in a number of different places. So I'm thinking that's a positive thing for us. And number three is they're relatively docile.
Right.
So that's good for us as well. So I mean, you add those up, and that makes some sense. I obviously wanted, or at least I initially wanted to get belted Galloways because of the quality of their meat as well. But I just don't know if we can initially afford the cost, to even get in the market on that.
Right. Didn't you say Jersey steers?
Yeah.
Now this of entry is,
Well, cost of entry in the past has been either $0 or $100. For a steer that is just born, you have the whole effort of, feeding that thing and getting it going.
yeah.
But I understand, these days that was a thing of the past.
Of course it is.
Yeah. So I'm in fact, I was talking to somebody just the other day. I can't remember who it is now, but they were saying it was over $1,000 for a Jersey steer.
There's no way.
No, and I think it's probably somewhere in between. The reality is it's somewhere in between. But anyway, that was the thought process. But keep going.
We also got to look at so back to their paddocks, what they use to electrify the perimeter fence. So of course they use like a more sturdy exterior line for the whole perimeter. And then the interior is a thinner rope, I guess, like electrified rope. But the thing I thought was interesting was that they have, everything is already, so like all the paddocks are already set up with the electrified fence. So they don't it's not like where we have our our eggmobile where we take down the fence. We only have one fence that takes it down. It's basically like they have fence for the entire Christmas tree field, and then they would already segregate it out into little paddocks, and they just leave that up. I thought that was interesting because I mean that's obviously has an advantage to it, but it's probably has a more upfront cost on the electrified fencing. And I'm sure we would do something similar where we would just have like one string and then move that and then move them over, but
Right. So they have a single strand
single strand
that
on
they're
the
using.
interior.
on the interior.
Single? I thought it was 3 or 4.
No, he said single on the interior. I think on the exterior it might have been 3 or 4.
No, on the hard fence it was a single. It was a single line up top.
Yeah, then they just use single. And he said that every once in a while they might break it and they just go out and fix it and move them back, and it's not really a big deal. But yeah, he said the single works pretty well.
Well, I'm encouraged to hear that they're operating all of this on 12 acres and 15 acres.
Right.
That's encouraging to me. And then the fact that they're rotating their paddocks every week, I think ours might be a little bit more
frequent.
Yeah, because I think it depends on the quality of the forage that's being produced. And if you have an old pasture, you know, it's gonna drop. Ours is brand new, so I think we're gonna have some vibrancy there that might reduce that amount of time. But we can do something similar there, where we can establish certain sizes and keep that going. But until we kind of get our process underway for us, it may, depending on the season, that time varies. If you're managing it the way I think we want to manage it, we're going to want to be looking at what the growth rate is, what the consumption rate is, and those are going to vary. Those are going to drive a variation in how long they're in the paddock,
Right.
and how big the paddock is.
Correct.
Because what you won't have as a major variable is the number of head.
Right.
So I mean, that will be established at least for a season there. And so that's not a variable that you would have to worry about as you go through it.
The other thing is that now for most of that, I was walking around getting video of stuff, so I may have missed some stuff. They don't winter their cattle on pasture.
Correct, yeah. So that's interesting because a couple of things. They don't have shade out there either. So they will, all the cows will migrate back to the overhang where their barn is. It has like an opening overhang. And so in the wintertime, that's where they stay. They stay inside of that barn during the winter. That's when they get their hay supplement because they're not out there grazing on the grass over the winter months. Yeah. But that also means, so in the summertime, since they don't have any shade, they also, if they get too hot, they just have to walk all the way back into the barn.
But they can.
They can,
From
yeah.
every paddock, they can come back to the barn.
Right.
Okay.
And another thing is they also don't have water source out there in the field at all. So when they get thirsty, they have to walk all the way back.
Right.
Drink from the water. So back to the winterization, they have a trough out closer, not much closer, but then in the wintertime, he keeps the water source inside the barn, and he has an electrified tank of some kind that
keeps the water.
Yeah.
Not being frozen. Okay, good. And it's small enough. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It's small enough that you can do that, and so he doesn't have to worry about that, which is good. And he has a way of getting back to the barn with where his animals are.
Yeah.
And is that true for the 15 acres also?
Yeah.
When they're on the other side, they can get back to the barn too?
It's set up similar on both ends. He has a portable shelter. It doesn't sound like he moves it though.
For the cows?
For the cattle.
Oh.
You remember
Was it on the calf side?
it was on the calf side, the galvanized
Yeah, okay.
structure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very simple, it was just like a curved
Yep.
metal structure.
Not big enough for them all to be in there at the same time.
It was probably on like skis or something. You can just.
Well, I mean, what he's addressing, if I'm understanding it correctly, what he's addressing with the 12 acres and the 15 acres is there's not a lot that can be grown. Once winter hits or once the grass stops growing, then you've got to supplement it.
Right.
And there's not enough there, for them to be able to do anything with. The blessing we're going to have is that we're going to have a little bit more run into the winter time with the chestnuts.
Right.
And with what they're offering, and with the very a wide variety of cold season and warm season grasses, brassicas, forbs, and legumes. Yeah. So by design, I think we're going to be in good shape to at least last a little longer into the winter time, and then as spring is approaching, get a little bit more benefit coming out of it in the spring. So we're going to have a couple months where we're going to have a challenge too.
We'll still be supplementing feed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're going to have to. And our hope is that we can keep cattle out there with shade and the whole thing, but keep them out there on pasture the whole time.
Yeah. What's our plan for the winter months? Are they going to stay? They're not staying out there on the field, are they?
Yeah. That's the plan.
And then we'll just are we going to have a shelter out there? Or?
Yeah. We'll need to have some kind of, probably a 3-sided lean-to of some sort, even if it's mobile, but we're going to have something out there that they can get out of the wind.
Yeah. So it'll be like you'll have to face it in a certain direction.
Yeah, that's why it's 3-sided. And and so and if it's mobile, then we can adjust it so that it gives them that relief that they need, but they need to have that.
So I'll show you later. There's a couple of them. They're really, really nice ones. About 2-3 houses down.
Yeah, Janet. Janice and Greg.
Oh yeah, the red ones.
Yeah.
I've seen those. Yeah,
they've got those. No, that's high end.
Right.
But that's what it's for. And it's, of course, it's facing east. That's how they can come in. Yeah, the opening's on the east side because of the prevailing winds and snow and all that stuff, which comes from the west. But
Okay.
yeah, that's the idea.
So he also mentioned he doesn't have one of these, but he was like, ideally he would like to have one of these, and he mentioned it was a non-electric waterer for the cows for the wintertime, and I guess it's an insulated contraption, and then when they press down on this device, the water comes up, they drink it, and then when they leave,
The water goes back.
the floater goes back up, and then the water goes back down.
Yep.
And
And then that's insulated.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forget the brand. There is a particular brand that does that, and it's there's no electricity involved,
Right.
in the whole thing. And I've seen those.
yeah, so
They're a bit pricey, but it is a nice feature
Yeah.
to have.
He had 3 different versions of a round bale feeder.
Oh yeah. So the hay racks, he has 3 different versions of this, and I asked him about them because I noticed there were like multiple design styles, and the one he recommended over all of them was one called a bale miser, BALEMISER, and it's a 6-foot by 7-foot portable. It was on skis as well, and he said that it was a lot more efficient than his other ones. So there was a lot less waste of hay and
miser. Yeah.
bale miser. Yeah.
I think is what he's talking about. Yeah, that's great. That's great. So you put the bale, and this is a round bale?
Yep.
So they're what, 800?
No. This one is not round. It's square.
No, but you put a
Oh,
round bale
the
in.
hay bale is
Yes.
round. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about the miser thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking about the miser
The
thing.
miser square.
The miser square. So it's just a standard square bale?
Yeah, the whole thing is square, but the internal thing is kind of round.
Correct. A round bale goes into it. The miser itself is a square shape.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Well, and I think that's smart. 'Cause I know the one farm that we had gone to before, Tanya, they'll take a bale. I can't remember what they called it. It was,
It's the unroller.
but they would roll it out.
Yeah.
They would just roll it out, and it seemed to me that would be rather.
Oh,
Waste
that
for a lot
Greg
of
Judy contraption that
Yeah.
rolls it out.
Yep.
So yeah, that's what they use as well, I believe.
Oh, I didn't even see one there.
Well, I guess I would assume that's what they use because theirs are also round bales. Oh no, I guess they wouldn't because they don't
They
even
don't
use them out in
Yeah, they
pasture.
don't keep them on pasture.
So I do want to talk about the hay bales though, because that was a really interesting part. So they use fermented hay, if you're familiar with that, and they call them marshmallows because they're round hay bales that are completely wrapped in plastic, which allows fermentation. And this is their feed essentially for the winter months, or including early spring and late fall, so April through October. is when they feed them these fermented hay bales.
October through April.
Yes, that one.
Okay.
And
Option B.
so he was saying that the advantage of these are, there's a number of advantages. They're allowed to, they bale them wet essentially, as opposed to the square bales, which are stored, they're packaged dry and they're stored in barn lofts like this one, the one we're in right now, to keep them dry. But these are, they can be left outside, so you don't even need to like move them around or have the storage space to contain them. You can just leave them outside. His was in the middle of the pasture where he was keeping the calves. They last for several years, so he doesn't even have to worry about expiration or anything, because he'll use them up by the time they go bad, if they ever do go bad. And you just store them outside in the open. And he was saying that the main benefit for the cows is that the microbes do all the fermentation and they break down the hay. The microbes are the ones that break down the hay, making it easier for digestion for the cows. And so the cows during those winter months spend less energy digesting the hay, and they can use that conserved energy to build up their fat stores and keep the fat on and
and keep them warm, basically.
keep them warm.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, that's very helpful. Do they make their own fermented bales? Do they
They have
harvest them?
So no. Short answer is no. They used to. He said it's now cheaper when it comes to time and labor and equipment and everything. He hires somebody out to come do it for him.
Okay, but they come and do it.
Do they grow it?
Grow it,
They do grow.
They do grow it? Okay.
Yep.
and somebody comes and harvests
Yep.
it.
So
for
that was one of the 5 things that they grow, is they have a
them.
wheat
Okay.
field.
Okay. All right. Well, good. That's helpful to know that.
Yeah.
Oh, here it is. It was a 4-year rotation of corn, beans, hay, grain, and grain includes either wheat or oats. And that, like I said earlier, they don't do alley cropping per se. They just each have their own separate fields.
But the grain was for the chickens.
Supposedly, yeah, I guess.
Okay. As
And
opposed
probably
to
the
grass fed for the because I'm pretty sure they're saying that they're
you-
grass fed.
The cows are grass fed only. They don't feed them grain.
They don't
Right.
feed them grain. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Good.
Because that's not what a ruminant is meant to eat.
Right. Exactly.
And that was
Exactly. That's
that
the
was
whole
something
point.
he definitely pointed that out.
Yeah.
Is cows are ruminant, and ruminants were not meant to eat grain.
Right. That's what the majority of
Feedlots.
our feedlots do.
And so they have a large silo on their farm. And I was asking him about that because I was like, do they repurpose it for anything? But he was saying because of the way they now process their cows and feed them, it's just an obsolete technology. So it's just sitting there like ours is.
Just like ours is. Yeah.
theirs is in phenomenal shape though.
Yeah.
It has a top to it.
Yeah. It's pretty sweet. But yeah, and then they do. Can I get into the pigs?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not even a lot to talk about.
No, but
Just
he's
walked
really
into-
interested in the pigs.
well, I walked in and I wasn't expecting to see pigs.
They're very
'cause
cute.
I didn't know they did pigs.
Yeah.
So I forget what they're called. They're black something.
They are large blacks.
Large black.
Large blacks. Okay.
It's 6 months to harvest.
Yeah, they're only about like this big.
Yeah, they were tiny little things when we were there.
How old were those?
They
If they go from 0 to 6 months.
Well, they must have been very young because they had 8 to 20, or they had 8 to 10, and they rotate. They do this 2 to 3 times a year, and so there's a 6-month turnaround. So
Oh, and every couple months they're getting another.
right,
Yeah. So that they can prolong.
so they're
period.
they're somewhere on the younger side of that 6-month
Yeah,
turnaround.
wow.
They were real small. They were cute as
Yeah,
can be though.
Did he say how big they get? And before they.
I forgot. I didn't even think to ask.
No, like I said, we were kind of zooming through most of it. There's just so much to cover in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
So this pig operation had their own separate enclosure,
Little paddock there.
and it wasn't large. I mean, they had plenty of room, but compared to the whole farm, I'm saying like it wasn't. It was just a
probably-
small little
It
area.
was probably the size of this barn up here.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Was it on grass? Were they getting
Yeah.
grass?
There's grass. Then
all
there was a small little water area.
Yeah, it looked like they had dug the ground a little bit and created just a little like water area. Basically, it was like a large puddle of water for the pigs because they like to
wallow in
splash
there.
in there. Yeah.
Because I know their skin is very sensitive, and so you got to protect
And
them.
yeah, around the water was a bunch of mud, so they were all muddy too.
Yep. Did they talk about veterinary services and that kind of thing?
Yes. They don't do it.
Yeah, no vaccines. I mean, similar to what we're doing. I mean, no vaccines, nothing. I would imagine they would use the stun method just like we are
Yeah.
thinking about.
Okay, all right. So they're very consistent with,
Right.
with those kind of things. Of course, being organic, being certified organic.
Mhm. And to clarify, we're still talking about their beef operation, so not their dairy operation.
Correct.
Right.
And that's so I was actually surprised when I asked if they had a squeeze chute that they actually have one. Because if you're not giving immunizations and stuff like that,
Yeah, you don't need one.
you don't need one. But
Oh, I guess they didn't have one. I didn't think about that.
yeah, Lives or Eat has a squeeze chute. It was in by the 2 older round bell feeders.
Oh, okay.
You remember
It
where?
might have been used, years ago. Before
Yeah,
they were
I
certified
don't think it's in
because they don't have a need
use
for it
anymore.
anymore.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Wow.
Right.
Okay, that's good. How about did they talk about their marketing process and actually processing the meat? Because they do direct market.
Yeah, they don't. They don't process it themselves, so they send
so
it
they
off
send it
to a
off.
local place he said was very close by. They were
3 miles.
Yeah, it's like 3 miles down the road. I don't remember the name of the place, but they send it to a butcher who does all the processing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I don't think you're allowed to process your own.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Did he mention a price on what it costs per pound to?
No, we didn't get into that at all.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
But so
And then
Dan he's in his 60s, so he no longer really operates the farm. He hires someone who does all the farm operations, and so instead, Dan now just focuses entirely on the marketing side of things.
Oh, okay.
So other than that, and then the fact that they do all direct to consumer, and then their dairy side is a herd share program, which we might get into. That's really the only thing we talked about when it comes to marketing and sales and stuff.
Okay. All right.
I actually would have liked to have him on the podcast, but I completely forgot to ask him because I did want to dive into that side of things a little bit more, but maybe another time.
Right. Okay, good. That sounded like that was really worthwhile.
Yeah, and that's like I said, it was a surface level conversation, and
Yeah.
I think that's the fun that we need to talk to more in mentorship type ways.
I think that was about it for that side of it.
For that side of it, they don't do meat birds, or they don't have any on the farm anymore. They partner with another local farm that does it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they raise them and just?
No, they don't even
They
raise
don't
them.
even raise them. Okay.
Yeah,
So
the only
source-
chickens are female
the
hens.
females.
Yeah.
Okay, so they source their chickens from this other farm.
Correct.
Are they also regenerative organic?
Don't know.
Don't know.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Given his view on everything, I would
I would be
likely think
shocked.
that they are regenerative organic.
I'd be shocked if they weren't.
Yeah. Okay.
Definitely
right.
something that was an all-encompassing thing was less government involvement. Let us raise stuff the healthy way, the way it was meant to be raised, the way it was meant to live, and let us provide a good nutrient-dense food for our customers.
Yeah. So all the basic principles that we're trying to abide by as well.
Yeah, they're very in tune with trying to go back to how things originally were. That was brought up a few times.
Okay.
But yeah.
All right.
So, okay, moving on to Laramie, who was the gentleman who gave us the tour of the S&D dairy side of the operation.
Yeah, kind of.
So this one wasn't as long, or there wasn't as much to see here because he showed us the cows, and he talked about the breeding program a little bit and showed us the barn. He did not want us to film any of the inside operation where they process the dairy milk. And honestly, even if he did allow us to film, I would have filmed it for our own posterity, but I would not have included it in the farm tour. So either way, even I was like, I'm not including this in the farm tour because it's such a hot button topic, and I don't want to get them in trouble, or I just don't want to get them needlessly in any hot water for that side of things. So we didn't film that part of it, and we probably don't want to talk about it because it's a lot of herd share, raw milk, and stuff like that. And there's a lot of weird implications there. So
That being said, for quality control and stuff like that, their milk is tested twice a week.
yeah,
They have walkthrough inspections in here. Like, it's still meticulously maintained.
so that Raw Milk
Phenomenal.
Institute,
Yeah.
in order to even qualify and be a part of that program, you have to go through hoops and ladders just to be a part of that. And that was a long, intricate process as well. And they are one of the very few farms in the area that are a part of that.
I think he said it's the only one in Ohio.
Yeah, I think that might be true.
So correct me if I'm wrong here. Because I think it's important for our listeners to understand why they didn't want to be filmed. And I think part of that is because of and correct me if I'm wrong, but the lack of education on the public side of the house.
Yeah.
What's allowed, what's not allowed, what is considered safe, what's not. And so if you're not educated in all of those details, you can get wrong impressions
Real fast.
very quickly. And
Right.
so they're only wanting to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
And so that's it, because like you were mentioning, there are high standards that they must comply with as a certified organic farm.
Right.
And the institute, the Raw Milk Institute, and all those kinds of good things, all that's being done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
And
and
they're not
that's
trying to hide anything there.
right. So when I was going through my ag science degree and everything like that, we had a couple lessons, couple lectures where we went and looked at, not in person, but watched video of what a commercial dairy looks like. And this is much smaller scale. Like, they have 5 milking stalls.
Yeah.
So fairly small scale, but it was cleaner than what I saw in the videos
It was the videos of commercial.
of commercial. It was
Yeah.
cleaner than commercials, but it was essentially the same equipment. It was like everything is essentially the same. It's just what happens once the milk is out of the udder and into the cooling tanks and the pasteurization, everything like that. And yeah, it was a really, really cool process though.
Yeah. And like Kyle's saying, it's a hot topic. They're a hot button topic. And so if you're not properly educated in those things, you can wander down a path you don't need to be going down. Right. And so they're just trying to protect themselves. Okay. What'd you learn?
That I know nothing. That's based on like
When it comes to dairy,
when it comes
there's
to
a lot there,
dairy,
yeah.
and even when it comes to the beef, cattle, everything like that, I was just like, cool. I thought I knew things, and I know the surface level. Like,
Yeah.
there's just so much left to learn.
So what kind of heifers are they using? Jersey and Holstein?
Jersey and Holstein.
Okay, so those are the two.
Yep.
And the milk production for Holstein we talked about was 4 gallons a milking, 2 milkings a day.
2 milkings a day.
How about for the Jerseys?
I think they run them through the same rotation.
Yeah, what's their production?
I don't think he said how many gallons.
He told me 2.
Okay.
He said approximately 2 gallons
Okay.
per Jersey cow per milking. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah.
I always thought Jerseys were a higher producer.
No, I knew Holstein was a higher producer.
Okay.
I mean, and the fat content varies.
Yeah.
One is a much higher fat I say much higher. It's a higher fat content than the other one. I don't know which is which, but okay. Well, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. So, I mean, another thing worth pointing out is I said to Laramie that I want to come out and learn, and his immediate response was, "When do you want to come out? Here's my number."
Okay. Good. Good.
Like, they are
So how many head do they have to support their demand?
for S&D 20.
I don't remember the exact number.
It's in the 20s.
Somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. 20, 30 head, somewhere in there.
Right. I think it was low 20s. Like
Oh, low
22,
20s.
24,
Okay.
24, somewhere in there.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So not a bunch.
Do they do their own milking and all that kind of stuff themselves?
Yep.
Okay.
So Laramie does all that. They do cheese and butter and all that good stuff. Currently are doing AI. They have a Jersey bull. Was it Jersey?
Yes, a Jersey bull.
When you say AI, some people are going to think
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not artificial intelligence.
artificial intelligence. It's
Artificial insemination.
artificial insemination. Okay.
But so I asked him, he was a little reluctant when he said that, and I asked him, well, what would your ideal method be? And he went into this whole thing that I didn't know about, where they are moving to their own natural breeding program, which is what I was talking about before, where they're trying to go back to that tri-bred version of a cow, which is a very long process. Like it's going to take generations to do that.
Right.
Which is to be expected. I mean, it took a long time to breed everything out. It's an insane job to breed everything back in.
Yeah, but he's working with other institutes or other programs to
I think you
achieve that.
mentioned a farm in Texas, one in California. I forget. The other
Michigan was the other
one.
one.
Michigan. So there's 4 farms essentially working on this together, and
But essentially, yeah, they do their own AI version of.
Well, can you talk a little bit about herd share and how do you, if you're interested in raw milk, what do you have to do in the state of Ohio to get some raw milk from these guys, as an example?
Yeah, so you buy into a cow from, I mean, honestly, I don't know if I'm going to do it justice, but you buy into a cow and you buy a part of it, and then you pay some sort of membership fee of some kind.
Yeah, so we paid a membership fee, and it wasn't a membership fee. It was it's purchase a share.
it's like a sock.
A portion of the herd.
Yeah.
You pay that fee. That was a one-time fee that we paid.
Yep.
And then you can get as much milk as you want.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're considered at that point an
An
owner of
Right.
of a portion of the cattle. So you in the state of Ohio can now do what you want with the animal byproduct.
Yeah, we can't buy that and then go sell it.
Correct.
Yeah, that's all off the table. You can't do that. But we can consume as much of it as we'd like.
Right.
And so they once you own that that portion of a herd share, then you can purchase from them the raw butter, the raw any dairy product, cheese, that kind of thing, the raw milk, if I understand it. Yeah.
Yep.
And we get raw milk
Yeah.
from them ourselves. But we also, where we got turned on to this place was their lightly pasteurized, non-homogenized milk that is sold legally, and we get it from Covered Wagon, which is not just down the road from us. But that's what we use on our coffee. It is, I'll tell you, folks, if you've never tried that kind of milk and you've just had what you get at the store, you have a wonderful awakening ahead of you. It is absolutely delicious.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It is. It's so good and so good for you.
Right. And that's,
But I know, that we're getting off topic because that's a whole topic there, and then
that's
there
hot, hot topic.
it's a hot button topic.
Yeah.
So,
No matter which way you send that.
yeah.
Yeah, there's literally nothing you can say. People have their minds made up, and they will demonize you.
Yeah, for sure.
I also learned that he said that the Jersey bull is the meanest
Pound per pound.
bull
most
there is.
aggressive bull.
Really?
Yeah.
He said that thing is ornery. Oh my goodness. Jerseys are just ornery bulls.
Okay, well that's good information. Yeah, a note to self. Okay.
But I'm trying to think if there was.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else.
When did they start milking? Did he happen to say how old?
They from birth, they are usually able to milk 2.5 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, in 2.5 to 3 years, they've got to raise them. So you've got that much invested into that animal
Right.
before you ever get a gallon of milk from them.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then did he say how long they'll continue to produce?
No.
No.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
What did we learn? We know nothing. Not even the right questions.
Well, that's okay. I mean, hey, we'll go back and chat with them some more.
Yeah. Absolutely.
No, that's good. Okay. And they also receive no medications, no antibiotics, anything along those lines, because then you're not organic. You're not organic certified, that kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, he talked
a little bit about their process and what's involved if a cow shows signs of sickness. And they have a whole procedure of precautions.
Yeah. If
I imagine there's a protocol
They have a protocol.
What do you
Yeah.
say, Akron? Akron is where if there's
Correct. Yeah.
any kind of hint that the milk could be contaminated anyway, they take a sample. So there's a diverter valve first off. So they divert that milk immediately into a separate tank. They take a sample and they drive it up to Akron to get it tested immediately. And then hasn't happened in the 20 years they've been doing this.
But they have a protocol to follow if that does happen.
So
Yeah.
part of being a part of the Raw Milk
Institute.
is following this protocol
Yeah.
and having good protocol in place and a place to go get it tested and everything. So it was something like, not worried about drinking it, consuming it, or anything like that, but it's always reassuring when there's protocols in place.
Absolutely. And then their marketing method for the lightly pasteurized, and we probably ought to say what that is, 145 degrees for 20 minutes kind of thing.
He was saying it takes 6 hours.
Was that the cooling process? I don't remember what that was.
That makes more sense.
I think
It would
it
be the
takes-
cooling process. I don't think it's the, anyway, they didn't say what it was. Okay. But anyway, that's a product that they produce and then they sell that. And he goes out every Tuesday, Laramie goes out and he's delivering to all these places and and he delivers to Covered Wagon. That's where we get it. Yeah. Because we'll meet him there and pick all that stuff up for the Coffee Hut. Okay. All right.
They also had a pretty large pond on that side of the thing. So that kind of serves as like a watering source for the dairy cows. And there was some nice, there was geese and stuff swimming around in it, but that was a nice, I think having a pond like that is always a big, huge benefit.
Now, do they stay out on pasture?
They were
cows?
not,
They were not yet.
yeah, they haven't yet brought those cows onto pasture yet
Okay.
because he said
There's something going on. Oh,
they were doing something with that field. They were doing something with the field, and he said they'll be out in pasture in maybe a week or two.
Okay, so there's something that they're doing to the
Yeah.
field. Otherwise, they would be out there on grass.
Yeah.
and it's a gorgeous pasture.
Oh, okay. Okay, good. So that's all following kind of the principles that we have talked about in previous episodes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, good.
It was a really good start.
Did they talk about their chocolate milk? Because they actually have won awards for their chocolate milk.
We did talk about this.
Okay.
They are one of maybe, what do you say, 10? So there's someone who has the job of going around the country and tasting chocolate milks. And they rate it 1 to 10. And they're one of like 10 farms across the country who has been granted a 10 out of 10 on their chocolate milk.
Okay, so 10 being the best.
Right.
10 out of 10. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I know I've tasted it. It is phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they make that there.
They made it
make
in-house.
Yeah.
Yep. I kind of probed him a little. I was like, so how do you make it? And he politely declined to answer that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, good. That sounds like that was a good tour as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we learned a lot. It was good to see. I know that the cattle operation, that side of things, we're several years away from being able to do that or getting started on that, but it's also the one aspect of this that I haven't really read up on fully, so I was really interested to actually see that because I think it's a better way to learn if to just, do it in person.
Process of breeding in.
No, the implementing cattle into the
Operation.
regenerative operation.
Oh, okay.
Another thing that was reassuring to me is meeting Laramie, who only has 4 years of experience, and he is effectively taking over S&D from what it sounds like. He's managing the herd, he's managing the milking process, everything.
Yeah.
So,
Well, good. Yeah. Sometime life throws a softball or a curveball at you. And they've had to make some adjustments here recently. So
yeah.
no, understand that. Okay.
All right, you guys want to wrap it up? Anything else?
I feel like that's a pretty good leaving off point.
Yeah, so I don't know when, I'll have a video produced at some point where we'll show you guys the actual tour and you'll actually get to see a lot of the stuff we've been talking about. So get subscribed so you don't miss out on that. And otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.